Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I just received this deck in the mail on a Sunday, and I was going to do a live unboxing of this, but the cards, the only tarot card size, I really wanted them to show up well, and I didn't think that was going to happen in my webcam, so I decided to do this this way. So this is the Dream Inspirational cards by Los Garabio that I'd never heard of them before. I just happened to stumble on them 2 days ago when I was looking for an oracle deck, and I was getting frustrated because none were quite what I wanted, and I stumbled on this accidentally, and I was so intrigued by it that I had to give it a shot. I haven't seen a walkthrough of these anywhere. I've seen a couple of the cards, but I haven't seen a walkthrough anywhere, and so I had to give it a go and see what it was, because there's lots of tarot decks out there and there's lots of oracle decks, but it's neat when you find something a little different. So this is a typical Los Garabio tuck box, although I will say it's one of the nice sturdy kinds, which I do like. It kind of holds its form. It doesn't feel as flimsy as some of the paper ones. So I do like that at least it's a nice sturdy tuck box. It also has the middle flap here, which I much prefer over the ones that just close like this, because then you always have cards getting stuck in the part that gets inserted here, this side. You get cards stuck in there, so I quite prefer this bottom of a tuck box. So there we go. For a tuck box, I'm happy with it. Now, of course, this is Los Garabio, so we're going to have multiple languages on this, and we also have a little white book that's going to have very, very little information. But from what I've seen of this deck, you shouldn't really be using probably a little white book anyways. You probably are going to be using your intuition. Let me turn this over. Apparently there's a couple versions of this, because I have seen something other than the light blue backings, or I've heard that there is other, but I do really like this. I think it's gorgeous with the timepieces and the clocks, because this is all about dreams. And what time is it? It looks like it is 11 o'clock, but it is a mirror of 11. So time is funky in dreams, right? Typical little, whatever. So here's the little white book, which is, I'm sure I'm right, but yeah, so 14 pages in English. Some pretty cool looking spreads, I'm not going to lie. Let's see, that sometimes it's at the end. Past, present, and future, 7 days, 9 cards. Oh, so this is a 9 card for a past, present, and future, with a sort of a summary card here. There is B here. We have the 7 days. Each pair will correspond to the day of the week. So you have 2 rows of 7 here. And then C is 1 question only. So you have kind of a cross, a 5-card cross. Yeah, that looks interesting there, especially regarding an actual dream. We'll go to this in a minute. And then 12 months of the year. So you have 12 months here. And then the other 4 cards are for the 3-month periods, like the seasons here. So that could be quite interesting as well. Let's see what it says at the beginning, though, as obviously most of this, you can see that there are just a couple keywords for each card with the reverse meanings. So since the remotest of times, man has attributed supernatural power to dreams and didn't understand or didn't undertake anything without drawing the proper auspices from them, which were often used for prophecies and premonitions. In modern times, the Austrian psychiatrist Sigmund Freud, 1856 to 1939, the founder of psychoanalysis, posed sexuality as the basis of dreams and arrived at a scientific explanation of the phenomenon, proving that the dreamer is always the protagonist of his or her dreams, which, though the unconscious express repressed desires and wishes, reveal aspirations, frustrations, doubts, problems in relationships, and etc. Freud defined dreams as life experiences while sleeping, in which the unconscious replaces the emotions drawn from the experiences of the day or one's own personal history with symbols and constructs, a difficult charade where words and coded images replace known ones, becoming incomprehensible to the dreamer. The 78 dream cards, emblematic of the most common oniric themes, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I will look that up in a minute, are a tool for interpreting the mysterious language of dreams and for extracting signs that provide clarifications, liberation, or warnings. Meanings are suggested for each card depending on whether upright or upside down. So then you have the meanings of each of the 78 cards. Again, they are just keywords with a reverse. So say the number 1 is adolescence, thrilling encounters, good friendships, and encouragement, whereas reversed is monotony, vacuity, and tiredness. So that is what we have for all 78 cards. 14 pages, you know, that's it. That's all you get, people. So let's turn this over. Okay, here we have, the title card, dream cards in various languages. So you can see this is a typical tarot deck. It's tarot card size. I don't have a low scarabeo one next to me, but this is a typical low scarabeo card. It's a little bit thinner than a Llewellyn and a little bit taller. It's just typical. It's a low scarabeo tarot deck card stock. And we again have various languages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 languages going on here as well. I think this is one that you could certainly trim down, that I would be possibly consider trimming down. I do like having the numbers because you could use that for numerology, but we shall see. We shall see. Let's zoom in on the cards because that's what we want to look at. So you can see there are 78, probably because that's for a typical printing, but they are not tarot cards. They aren't meant to be tarot cards. They are simply using the 78 structure. There's no suits or anything like that. They are just dream cards in which you have a keyword or title word, much like more of a cartomancy like Lenormand or Kipper or something along that nature. And so here we have, as we said, adolescence, where you're kind of encountering somebody. I love, you can see that the road is going this way, but then it's going upwards. So there's lots of surrealistic from the images that I had seen, very surreal like we have in dreams. Number 2 is tree. Look at that. Move the box out of the way because that sometimes changes the light balance when you have that. I found that out. Here we have tree, a promising future, a new home, industriousness. Now when you flip it upside down, it is disputes, existential reflection, family troubles. I don't know whether I will use the reversals in this or not. I often will in cartomancy style decks more so than I don't in tarot. But this is interesting because it's tree, but it's not a typical tree. There is a tree branch here, and there's some sunflowers, but then we have much more of an edifice looking because, of course, things aren't always as they seem in dreams. 3, we have flirting. He's up on his toes, on the tips of his toes with a teeny tiny rock and a flower here. So is she. That sort of feeling of that first celebrating things, kind of getting to know somebody, although they're moved on to the hugging, but it's just more evokes that feeling. And here we have, like a unicorn floating along on rocks with a whole little world on top of it. But it's engagement in life, celebration, prosperity. But when it's reversed, it's superficial. So that's pretty cool. Here we have Harlequin, shrewdness, constructive abilities, and diplomacy. So we have more of like that trickstery feel. Very interesting. Reverse is frustrations, enmity, and unfaithfulness. I'm not going to go through every keyword I know. I just want to kind of get a feel with what they're doing. Here we have weapons, abandon, fears, and tension. He's got a gun here in his hand. We have this large statue almost of a woman here. When it's reversed, it's self-love and spiritual evolution and courage. That's interesting. I love this one. I did see this. I love how the art is just coming out. Creativity, attraction to mystery, awareness. I'm not sure about the reverse of being meanness, misunderstanding, and wasting of energy. I'm not sure why art reverse would be meanness. I don't intend to really use this little white book. I think that they're very, the artwork should be what you're looking at between the keyword and what we see in the cards. I do think this is one that you could simply just trim all the words off of and just go at it intuitively, which is more than likely what I'll do, but I'm not sure yet. Here we have actors. So we can see sort of actors on a stage. We can almost see a little crowd here that is watching what's going on the stage. Talking about distortion of reality, but when it's flipped upside down, it's honesty, because you know you're not acting, you're actually talking the truth. So that's interesting. We have the car, so lots of movement here. A trip, it can be just plain old trip. Yeah, I'm going to put the guidebook aside. Here we have authority, being told what to do, but look what's underneath. Hey, we've got like a wolf underneath her cloak. That's quite interesting, right? So there's authority, and she kind of looks like she's moving in that direction, but underneath there's something going on there. Very cool. Dancing is a really neat one. We've got kind of reflections and kind of slices of brains with checkerboards on them, all with figures of dancing on top of them. What do they have for dancing? Rashness, confusion, and draining of strength. I do see this as confusion here, but I'm not sure why you would put that with dancing. Here we have children. An existential turning point. Look at that. A feast. Blessing. That's beautiful. Inspiration and contracts. See, that's what's so interesting. You have inspiration, contracts, and a future union. Not sure where you get contracts from that. A benefactor. She's helping out here. Love the crazy birdness going on. And the large witch's hat. Shoes. I love the flying shoes. You just think of messages and things like that. Messages coming and flying, or you going off and giving messages. Here we have a dogs floating. They're kind of leash, but they're floating as he's going for a walk. And Billy Goat, which I can't help but think of Billy Goat Gruff. Turn my phone off. Here we have home. Look at that floating home. It's kind of been pulled up from the ground with the pipes all still showing. The falls, this is beautiful. Riding. You could even think of this as a rider message. Looks like she has shoes and a piece of a shirt. Not sure where the rest of it went. Her hair also matches her horse's hair, which is, I don't know, that jumps out to me. Here we have keys. There's a big keyhole here, but he's putting the key almost in the hand here, which is interesting. Let's see what they say about keys. Resolution of problems, avoided danger, and inner growth. constructing. This I think is really cool because it's almost a constructing of the self here. That's pretty cool looking. Ooh, money. That's, she pulls open her coat, and it's just all of this money here coming out. That could be so many different things. People taking from your resources, you're giving of your resources, which is good, but we do almost have some grasping hands here too. Interesting. Sweets. Lots to do with that. I like the bike feet here. Doctors. Everybody's kind of, that's it, they're all like part of trees here. And we have this like donkey bird with a gramophone. Charismatic figure, self-analysis, and recovery of strength. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about the keywords given here. I think this is one of those you just want to go with your own feelings on. Felines. Here we have all these cats and this almost hermity-like person here. Whoops. Fruit. Holding out fruit for others to receive, so that's interesting. Fire. They have this as family, brilliant future, and satisfaction. And we can kind of see a family here. More people up there. Ooh, that's beautiful. Garden. Playing, but more along the lines of playing like, well, there's chess pieces, dice, cards. So a little bit of a risk-taking, like it has love of risk. So it has that sort of gambling and playing the odds. Ooh, my nails are horrible. I should have definitely done them first. Sorry about that. I was too excited. Fortune teller. Look at that crystal ball. Kind of whispering in the ears like fey creature. I don't like this one. Look at the insects on people. Reading. I keep trying to go into reading the second one, which is another language, but just plain reading. But look at that. You can almost see the stuff coming out of the, we have planets, and we have this rocking chair, so we have that sense of things coming literally off the page, which I love. I love the moon one. I saw this one. Look at the kind of, likes that hat, that kind of witch's hat, sitting cross-legged, and then we have these sort of moon people on stilts. Looks like Little Bo Peep, and it just looks out of a interesting fairy tale. Hand, or is it the bird? Yeah, the more I look, the more inclined I am to just trim this all the way down and just use it completely intuitively. Here's a masquerade, going to a masquerade ball. They're kind of spiraling themselves up. They're all wearing masks and giant heads to block who they are. So much to do with that. Here we have a marriage. We've got the ring here and the marriage and the people, the onlookers, but they're all on her veil there. Beautiful meditating card. Merchants. Look at their feet. She's broken free, but she's still paying off money here. She's paying money, so that's interesting. There's a lot you could do with that. Mountain is gorgeous. Music. Ship. I love airships. Anything with airships. Snow and cold and winter and all the things that you can do. There's also a sense of clarity and far seeing because of the binoculars. Knots, I love that. Nighttime is gorgeous. Almost got superhero-y here. We've got the flying, and we've got the eyes going on. That's pretty cool. Let's see what they say about this, although I'm not that impressed with the keywords. Inner clarity, important decisions, and hope. I can see the inner clarity with all the eyes. Nudity. See, to me, there's a lot more going on there than just nudity. Creativity, freedom from prejudice, and victory. That does look very victorious. Kind of looks like Fortuna in some of the, you know, like Kipper type cards. So yeah, I think that nudity seems to almost shrink the meaning down to what it could be. Nourishing, with her baskets here and like these creatures that she's feeding. That's really pretty. Clouds. I mean, you can feel the oppression of this card. Honors. Shaking hands. Kind of have that sense. We've got the hand here, almost like a Six of Wandsy feel. Clock. I love that. Time. Just so much you can do with that depending on how it shows up. A tavern, or a place to celebrate, a place of coming together. Everybody's kind of coming here. Of course, they are having just alcohol being literally poured directly into their brains, which could mean something very different. Satisfaction, fullness, and industriousness. Maybe too much fulfillment there. Here we have fishing. Look at all those fish. We have fish coming out and fish coming in. I quite like the image. Again, fishing to me kind of restricts it. I'm not too impressed with that. Look at the rain. It's almost like it's raining people. That's pretty cool. That's really interesting. See, this is reassurances, harmony within the family. I'm not really seeing that. Not seeing that. But I do have a little bit of issues with umbrella imagery just from my fundamental past, wherein the males, especially with here, because the male, we have the big giant male here, and then the woman is almost in his grasp. And so, because the way I was taught in fundamental Christianity was that, you know, the man is holding the umbrella that protects you from God and from punishment and these kinds of things. And if you step outside of the umbrella, you're liable to get struck by lightning. So this would bring different connotations to me than it would be to some other people. Love this bridge card. Precarious bridge, but a bridge nonetheless. Jewelry. Diamonds are a girl's best friend is what keeps going through my mind here. So this to me brings up that more along the lines of, instead of living, you're like living for this moment of getting this ring, that sort of construct that we're told in order to be really happy, like we have to go, you know, look for that happily ever after in a ring. So I would again see a little bit different things there. Here we have gifts. This is quite beautiful. Monks. I don't really see monks so much here, but it's a beautiful image. Let's see what they say about monks. Prudence, hypocrisy, and constraints. I see some constraints here, but I can also see growth. So I'm definitely going to be ditching the little white book. Here we have sand. Look, we have the airplane that went down, and it's almost like they're in a sand glass that's draining, so the time is short. That's what, like maybe an underground like snake or dragon that's under the ground. Very interesting. Jumping. We all have dreams like that. Stairs that go on and on and on and on, feeling like you're never getting anywhere. Sculpting is he's actually creating his own self and or freeing himself. Very cool. Writing. I love it. Aiding. Oh, here the little tree bug is feeding the little fish people in the nest. Quite interesting. But we also have a hand that's aiding the one that is aiding, so you kind of see that cycle of helping each other. The attic. Kind of ghosty images here. Inheritance, rediscovering of values, and emotional strengthening. burying. Got a bunch of people out here taking things out to bury, I guess. Although these almost look like things have been dug up, and we have that sense here with that bird, a very different, yeah. I'm probably going to be cutting these off. In fact, I'll probably do that and show it to you at the end. Spiritual rebirth. That tells me, what does that have to do with burying things? Like, I just wouldn't, I agree with that. It's got that sense of that, but I think that the title is not very helpful. Flying over. That's pretty cool. Amazing. Exhibition, a search for excess and boasting. He's kind of showing off. We've got him kind of standing with his finger on the table, and he's kind of showing off to these people. So I guess you have that sense there. We have foreigners, so people from different cultures coming together and meeting, but you know, both hands holding up the flower and both watering the ground. So that's quite interesting. Astonishment. Inexperienced small trades and prodigious happening. I'm not seeing that. I see people kind of going with the flow like robots and kind of just following the other without even paying attention, whereas we have that person who has got up and outside of that. I can see that we could do a lot with that. Tattoos. Very strange arm to back ratio going on here. Telephone. And shoes. And birds. Communication. Temple. It's almost like you're seeing in and in and in and in. I quite like that imagery. Train. Travel. Look at, we have this like angel here going fishing for a fish / tree bird in the sky. Birds. They look a little concerned about the birds. Shouting. Repressed energies and disturbing relationships and anxieties. I can definitely see anxieties and those kinds of things, for sure. I'm not sure that I would see a disturbed relationship. Here we have a fan. Flying. I feel like we had flying before, but I feel like we had flying. Tree, art, cars, dancing, shoes, riding, sweet sweets, feelings, fruits, playing. No, I guess not. I feel like we had something like flying before, but that's a pretty cool image. I really like that. And chasm, falling into the fish's mouth. So I really like the images on this. I think there's so much that you could do with it. I think that the keyword or the titles to me are a little bit restrictive in a way. And I also think that I'm not too impressed with the little white book meanings. But let's just see. Let me pull this out. So let's just take a quick look at, actually I've already done a reading because I thought I hit play and I had not hit play on it. So let's take a look at the 5 card that was shown here in the guidebook, because that to me was interesting. And so you're doing a 4 card with a sort of advice card in the middle. The top card is representing the situation itself. The second card is the emotions accompanying the situation. The third card is obstacles, and the fourth card is the final goal with a advice card in the middle. So let's just say we were doing somebody is in a relationship and they kind of want to see where things are going, or they have some, you know, concerns about a particular relationship, and because that, you know, that's something that comes up a lot. So let's just do that, which is very different, isn't it, than looking for a relationship. So here we have the situation, which is cloudy, right? Very clearly with this image, we can see there are some difficulties going on. This is a kind of weighed down feeling. The situation at the outgo is got some problems, some difficulties going on. The emotions underneath, we have this sense of, here we have, it says flying over, but to me, that feels a little bit precarious. Let me look closer at her face. She looks like he or she is clutching their pillows and kind of looking down like they're a little concerned they're going to fall out. So some of the emotions are a little bit unsure, certainly unstable. The forelegs are not on the ground, so there is that feeling of not feeling very stable. When we look to obstacles, we have the Temple. That's interesting, right, to get a card like that. This seems very meditative, going inward, inward, inward. It's almost like you're seeing through mirrors, going deeper and deeper. So as an obstacle, that would tell me that some of these problems that we're already seeing are pretty deep. They're really going down deep. This is more than a superficial problem that we might need to be looking at. The fourth card is the final goal. And this is beautiful because here we have a mountain. Now, it's a journey. It's not going to happen quickly. That's really annoying. Sorry about that. We can see the light at the top. It's haziness, but this doesn't have a negative mountain. You know, if you look at these two cards, this has that sense of ominousness, whereas this does not. So the goal is that, yes, it's going to take some work, but we can get there, and we can do the work to get us to the better top of the mountain. That would be the goal if this is a relationship that's trying to be recovered. We can definitely see, especially with this, that it's going to take some work. But if you're willing to do the journey, you know, that's something that you can get to. And so then here is the advice card, and here we have the riding card. So this is movement. This is not allowing things to just stay the way they are. Get moving on this journey. It's not time to wait. It's not time to just kind of sit back and see what happens. It's time to be actively taking care of the situation as is. So that is just very quickly how you could do this particular spread, which I actually quite like, given that I have done a couple of them now and just didn't record them. I do like this spread, and I can see myself using it. The other way I can really see, if we had the same question where somebody was getting, say, a relationship tarot reading, having difficulties in relationships, trying to figure out what they need to focus on to move forward, those kinds of questions that do come up. The other way I see using this is sort of just seeing what is going on beneath the surface of a situation. So if we took that same scenario where somebody was having a relationship that was having difficulties, and so they were getting a tarot reading about that, you know, you could pull 3 cards on sort of underlying issues. Here we have the merchant woman. We have things sort of being fallow in the snow, but we have to remind ourselves that that can provide some clear seeing as well. And we do have the joyful thing going on here. I don't think of this as nudity. It just, to me, that speaks of joy. It's a beautiful card image there. But it's like paying the cost, which is interesting. We have a little bit of feeling stuck. This is broken to try to move this leg, but feeling stuck by this process of giving up of resources and gaining resources, that buying and selling process. Perhaps feeling like they're stuck giving too much. And maybe because I'm saying what's underlying, and it's needing to see more clearly that there can be more joy in this relationship. You know, again, depending on this would be a supplemental kind of thing. But I can definitely see using these cards as a sort of supplemental of what's going on beneath the surface. I had the monks already. Let's do that one. So we have masks. We have lots of maybe little things that are oh, I don't like the bug one. But you have that sense there of the bugs here. So I really think that these cards would be fantastic for that. But I did like the 5 card as well. So I don't know. What do you think about these? I'm going to trim these because I just feel like there really isn't any need for these titles or anything there. So I am going to trim these, and I will show you those in a minute. Of course, it will take me more than a minute, but for you, it will just be a snap. Okay, here we are mid trimming, just so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here are 5 untrimmed, so you can really see the difference in size. The backing actually turned out pretty cool. I like the look of it trimmed. It's much more, it's not perfectly the same. It's shorter up here because there's more at the top to cut off, but at first glance it looks pretty balanced, so I quite like it. Looks nice. People always ask, so I try to include this in here. I just use scissors, so this is a pair of scissors that I only use for trimming cards, and I just trim it away. And then I'm using, this is a Katamaro Pro. It has 3mm, 5mm, and I think 8mm sizes. I'm using the smallest one because these are small. Usually I set this on the table, but trim the sides, and the smallest because these are small cards. And there we have a trimmed card. Now, I just show you that I do make mistakes. Let me see if I can find it. I accidentally stuck this corner in the medium one, so I don't worry about it. It is what it is. It's not going to show much when it's all put together, and I just don't stress too much about it. So there you can see quite a nice little size. Let's see. I don't really have... This is a Deste card, but that's not going to say much to most people. It's skinnier than a normal playing card, but a little bit taller. But still makes a nice little compact size. And when you do, say, that 5 card cross, you can do so much more compactly as well. And of course, you can always do that same exact cross, not in a cross, just in a 5 card across. To give you the same information. Here's the situation, here's the emotions behind the situation, here's a blockage, this is the goal, and then here is a piece of advice about it. So you can also do that, especially if you're doing it in accordance with another reading. So I quite like this size. I think once I get them all trimmed, I will come back and do another quick reading of the 5 card, just so that we can see it without needing, how you really don't need those titles in order to, I think, use this type of card. Okay, here we are. I've also edged the sides. See, if you can look at the top of this, you can see it's got this blue peeping through. And so I did that on the sides. I believe I'm going to need to do one other coat. I'm not sure. I'm thinking I might do one more swipe through, but I quite like the blue. I think it looks fantastic. So I'm really happy with that. Just to finish it off, these are, I used this, the Winsor Newton pigment markers in indigo. Winsor Newton pigment markers in indigo. So that's what I used, and I'm really happy with it. Again, might do one pass, but I'll wait and see. I might wait and do another pass when I want to freshen it up. But I think the blue looks fantastic with the blue peeping through there. So really happy with that. These are 2 cards I'm not particularly fond with. I can't, her very large shoulder for a small back, this proportion, even her face, this card just annoys me. I'll probably just leave it out because it's just an oracle deck. This one also, to me, just doesn't fit. There's other ones about materiality. This is called jewelry, but it visually, I don't even, you can just see it looks very different. It stands out quite a bit from the rest of the deck. So these two I'm probably just going to leave out. They just don't really do anything for me, and that still leaves 76 card Oracle deck, which is quite a chunky Oracle deck. They shuffle really nice, even trimmed. Sometimes trimming, as I talked about on the live chat, sometimes trimming can really change the shuffle. I don't see it so much with Little Scarabeo cardstock. It still rifle shuffles really well. You can tell a little bit, but it's not bad at all. So you can still get a really good shuffle. So let's zoom in here a little bit closer. And let's just do one more of this 5 card, although I'm just going to do it in a row. So we're going to do the 5 card again, which is where the first one is going to be represent the situation, the second one the emotions around surrounding the situation, the third one as probable obstacles, the fourth one as the final goal, and then the 5th card as advice. So I'm going to do this more along the lines of work. There's somebody who is thinking about changing their line of work, kind of really shifting into a new direction, and they just kind of want to see the energy surrounding that work shift. So the first one would represent the situation itself. I think we should be able to zoom in a little closer here. Well, maybe not that close, because we want to fit 5 in. Let me turn this off. You can see it better. So here we have the kind of gift card. We have this being that's handing out gifts. It looks like an abundancy card. To me, that's a pretty good sign of this particular situation, because it's a couple things depending on what we start to see, but that could be a representation of changing in the jobs is going to actually give them more abundance, give them more wealth. They might make more money. It may be a more profitable job for them to shift in currently, but let's just see what else we get. We have emotions surrounding the situation. Here we have the fan card, and we do have the mask and the unmask, and so that's interesting to me, because it almost as if I see this as sort of, as I saw the last time, sort of maybe a removing of the mask, that maybe this job shift is going to allow them to be more authentically who they are, and if that's in that sort of the emotions around it is perhaps wanting to be unmasked, wanting to be more authentic, wanting to be more of themselves. The third card would be about obstacles, and here we have insects. This card makes me want to start scratching, but I feel like that would say that there are going to be obstacles and difficulties, but they're going to be small, and they're going to be more annoyances than they're going to be, really big problems. And so that certainly is a good thing to have show up in terms of whether or not this would be a good idea to go ahead and take a shift in jobs. The fourth card is the goal, and here we have the big man with the umbrella. Now, I don't remember, I think this was traditionally called rain, which I don't really see it that way. But you can look at this in several different ways. If the goal is, we have this big man here in a business suit, and he's holding the umbrella, which is blocking, obviously from thunderstorms and rains. So I do think that there lends to be a sense of security about leaving aside my feelings, which I described already, about umbrellas and men holding umbrellas. I think in general, you do have a sense of security here. This person is dry. This person is, has a firm grip on the umbrella. We can see storm clouds around it, but that's not going to get through. This person is also covering up the little people with them, the smaller people with umbrellas. So there's a security that is going to go outside of just that person. So I think that the goal is here, in order for that person to be more authentically themselves, and also to have a sense of security there. You know, again, it could come up very differently depending on what the question is. Let me move these over just a little bit. So then we'll have the final card, which will be an advice card. And so here we have the fortune teller. So that's quite interesting, because the first thing that comes to my mind is the card saying, you know what, you already got a tarot reading giving you advice. This is should have already told you what it is that you need to know. I'm now just out of pure curiosity, because oftentimes Lenormand does that. If I try to, like, if it's told it and I go to like do like a, just kind of a, let me just ask another question to kind of verify. I'll get pretty much answers that say, look, I already told you. Why are you asking me? Yeah, see, fortune teller has unhoped for solutions, fatalism, and surprises. So that to me is not very helpful, nor does it really have to do with fortune telling. But for me, let me take a closer look at this. We have the woman here, and she's coming to the fortune teller, and he's looking, or she, it looks like kind of a masculine, is looking in the crystal ball. We have the music that's playing by these two creatures over here. We also have this sort of, nasty looking, no, just kind of like a fey creature whispering in the ears of the fortune teller. So we have sort of the fortune teller as in mediation between these two things. So you can use that as an advice. The advice card is to get advice. So I would kind of think of this a little bit like the fox card, just in this particular situation, because it's getting advice about changing jobs. And when the fox comes up in changing jobs or that kind of thing, I often think of it as also the lawyer card, the card that says ask somebody who knows more than you know, so that you can get some good advice. So I would often say, okay, well, depending on what the job is, talk to somebody in your field, and make the field that you're changing into, to make sure is there anything that you're not aware of that you might need to be aware of before you make the shift. Everything actually looks pretty good. It looks like this would be good for the person shifting, but the advice card is to get advice. And I don't think that that necessarily means go to get another tarot reading on it, but I would say that would be, for me, gaining advice from somebody who knows about this particular field, knows their situation, and can give them sort of an unbiased kind of step outside of the situation advice. So that's how I would read those. I think I really like this spread, and I think I'm really going to enjoy using these cards. So I don't feel the guidebook is all that helpful. I don't necessarily clearly really like the titles, which is why I cut them all off. I don't think they're necessary. There's so much going on in the images, and that's going to change of what you're going to pull out depending on the question. I just feel like these of all cards should be, you know, really read intuitively. And so I personally don't find the guidebook helpful or the titles, but I think they look really nice, trimmed. And I actually think I'm going to get a lot of use out of these. Yeah, quite like this little oracle deck. So this has been a look at the Dream Inspiration cards. These are, you know, I never did say the artist. Of course, it doesn't even say, oh, here we go. So the deck is by Issa Donnelly, and the artwork is by Luigi Di Giamarino. Sure, I'm slaughtering that. He also has a deck that, yes, Norse Pagan Tarot Witch. He has a YouTube channel here as well. He made note that he really liked this deck, and that he thought it was underrated, and that it reads really well with Tarot of Metamorphosis. So I looked up Tarot of Metamorphosis, and it is artwork by this same artist. So that would be a fantastic kind of combination. That's something I'll certainly keep my eye out for. Although it looked like it might be out of print, I don't know. I've got to look a little bit more into it. But yeah, so this has been a look at the Dream Inspirational cards. I'm actually really happy with these, and I think it's going to be, they're going to be quite useful. So yeah. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you all oh, also, if you have these cards and use them, please, comment in the description or comment below and tell me how you use them and how you find them. And if you have the Tarot Metamorphosis, same thing. So yeah, I'd love to hear if anybody else has these and what they think about them. So have a great night.